Well, I knew this movie was something I would address, so let's talk at length about the 2017 live-action Ghost in the Shell. The film was based on manga of the same name by Masamune Shirao and the 1995 anime by Mamoru Oshii, both highly influential in their own right, and both works I have much respect for. Even with the film's critical and commercial failure, I thought I would do something different and explore my disappointment from two major perspectives. As an adaptation of source material and a film on its own merit, so let's open this up. The film opens with a reasonably faithful recreation of the famous shelling sequence, which shows the assembly of the robotic body of the Major, played by Scarlett Johansson. Film does explain that, as in prior versions, the body is a shell or that contains the mind or ghost of another person. I have something prepared for later, and we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. That is your one spoiler warning. Means I will be addressing the infamous third act, as well as comparing to the original film when I have to. The process is also a result of venture and a plot point not from the source material, where Dr. Oulet, played by Juliette Binoche, has disagreement with the back from Honk robotics known as Cutter, played by Peter Fernando, over how to employ the Major. Given how Honka is shown to be a police and military defense contractor in this film, this will also come up when the time comes. Interestingly, rather than showing how the Major will deal with the scenario, it cuts to a year later, no questions asked. As I pointed out before, I'm not a typical fan of foreign attributes, and this film's take on the original's famous dive sequence is significantly altered as I'm about to tell you. I also want to make clear that even though I have mixed feelings about the casting, it's actually not the main problem I have with the film, even though it's one that I was never able to fully overcome. I will give the film this, though. The visuals and special effects are impressive. Wada's CGI and practical special effects are quite snazzy. Given the studio's work on films such as Avatar and Lord of the Rings trilogy, the near future vision of Hong Kong is one of the best things about the film. Massive cityscapes of neon and fiberglass, holographic advertisement size of the Chrysler building, 3D koi as big as a Buick. They definitely got their money's worth. Still, the film is definitely not the best take on the story, and I'll start with my look at the dive. Rather than a group of diplomats like in the original, the film's targets are apparently fellow employees of Honka Robotics. Dr. Austin playing Margaret Wincott is one scene trying to work out a contract. The President of the African Federation and the waitresses in the hotel are a group of robotic geisha. A current segment character in the franchise played collectively by Ryla Fukushima. It's going to be a long 107 minutes, isn't it? As the Major surveys a dinner meeting, Hosea Aramaki, played by legend Takeshi Kitano, briefs on the situation before she makes her move. Even though this portrayal takes on the source material, I can honestly say he's probably the best actor in the movie. To my knowledge, he may be multilingual, but even knew the script was speaking English more. As a result, even though he speaks Japanese throughout the movie, much like in Star Wars films, I can still understand him. I guess lingual standard of cyber enhancements, apparently. Before she makes a dive, we get the film's take on the spies plan in the meeting, and the change also impact how the scene plays out. Rather than the police, the spies just eliminate 2.5 guards outside the meeting. As the Major removes her trench coat to make the dive, while she was practically naked in the original, understandably her costume uses CGI and carefully placed prosthetics and made her to cover her naughty bits because PG-13, kind of like Mystique in the X-Men movies. Despite Armaki's objections, Major dives in the banquet room and just robotic gears reveal themselves. Heck, all expensive others attending the banquet. I don't know. It made more sense than the original. To be fair, the action scene that shows a Major gunning down the robotic gears actually isn't that bad, though it's quite clear that a lot of this scene, much like the film itself, is dampened by coming out after the Matrix, which is ironically influenced by the original Ghost in the Shell anime and manga. After a message from the last geisha before the Major kills it, the attack is investigated by Section 9. This film, Toku says we have a character actor Chin Hong, who played Lion in my favorite film, The Dark Knight. Apparently, being good with calculation also gives one depth skills forensics. His holographic construction crime scene reveals that more Honka scientists have been killed. Then, after a bizarre scene involving what's left of the last robotic geisha, the Major and Bato, played by Paleo Esbeik, follow Lee to a Yakuza nightclub. This is a very strange movie in case you can't tell. Even though there are many impressive visuals, it seems like elements of the original are merged with Blade Runner by the major trilogy. The ensuing fight in the club also reveals that Ali was a red herring that resulted in Bato getting his bionic eyes. Again, this rationale was not in the original, though I did get a chuckle out of a scene where the Major gives Bato the finger to test his new vision. Not entirely sure that Skyler was acting there. I think she's generally annoyed by the production that just has somehow made the final cut. After that, we get this film's take on the subplot on sanitation workers, even though it's looking from the aesthetic point of view. It's a big example of how the film has much greater problems than the casting, and the scene illustrates how the story and characterization was what I really worried about. As I feared, my skepticism was totally justified. This also extends to a fight in the scene body of water. While it does sport some relatively slick gunplay and fight choreography, the original film built up to this moment by taking the time to let us know what the characters are like. Not just in the case of Major and Bato, but the sanitation workers as well. Narrator 1 has a very good summary of how the film lacks the same impact as its senior, using the scene to illustrate this point. Put a link in the description if you want to see it after this. That's essentially my main issue with this film. More than the casting or accusations of cultural appropriation, it's a simple problem of how the storytelling characterization strains to the original sacrifice in various visual spectacle. However, by making this change, it totally misunderstands how closely linked the visuals were to the story of its namesake. There were many scenes in the original which have little or no dialogue. Yeah, I'm totally invested as a viewer. This can definitely be illustrated my favorite part in the original, the scene on Bato's boat. In the original film, it leads to character development for both him and the Major, and displays the main theme of the movie and the way they behave. Despite being a lethal machine, Dive Major Take shows how fear of drowning is something she can never experience. Yeah, even how with a PFD, she can take pressure and death that could suffocate or crush an ordinary person. Likewise, due to their enhanced livers, they can metabolize alcohol to drink in amounts that would be fatal to anyone else. In the new film, however, the dialogue between them is entirely different, and even if Sanders does at least try to recreate the scene from a technical standpoint, the cybernetic liver is played a joke by another member of Section 9, but the delivery falls flat. This makes sense in context of what you presented. That was something that concerned me, not one that canceled first heard about the film, how the story and characters were handled. A good way to demonstrate what the antagonists of each film. While Kuza in the new film playing Michael Pitt may not be the worst villain I've seen, he does take many liberties from his counterpart in the standalone complex TV series, which I absolutely love. Moreover, it's not quite the same as a Puppet Master from the original film. Both of these films have their own ways using machines to explore humanity in the cybernetic age, but the original Ernest moment not only spectacular visuals, but also what the villain had no form of his own. It was essentially data in cyberspace wanted to know what it meant to be human. As we reach the denouement in this film, however, I must now discuss Remake's infamous third act, how it's different from merely being disappointing to being outright bad in my eyes. While Carter orders Dr. Ule to terminate the Major, she instead gives the Major information to find her past, which leads to 69 being compromised. However, no matter what changes the film made, there is one thing I like. When Honka's assassins try to kill Aramaki instead gets the upper hand, and in Japanese he says this, he offs them, "Don't send a rabbit to kill a fox. Takeshi Bikitano is awesome." Now we get the infamous twist of the film. Not going to lie, this justification may just change and casting on the reason for questions answers. So, Major visits an old apartment, based on information Dr. Ule gave her. She finds out her Mrs. Kusanagi, and just happens to be 1 year after the death of her daughter, whose name is Motoko. For those of you playing at home, justification the filmmakers gave for casting Scarjo in the context of the film was essentially that the Major is a tighter representative of human mind and cybernetic body, something that could have would even earned the approval of Mamoru Oshii, the director of the original film. Then, in comes this scene, and by extension the final act, it reveals that the mind did indeed belong to the namesake character of source material, Motoko Kusanagi. There are many implications here, and none of them are good. Furthermore, even though this could present an opportunity to expand source material's themes, what it means to be human in the machine age, there are several problems with this explanation. 1. Why would Honka Robotics kidnap someone they found in the street to experiment with? The film always shows there are a large company with defense contracts in the police and the military, so clearly a pool of those, or even cadavers. 2. Why is Major so ambivalent about finding her entire life as a lie? This is also a problem how they handle Kuze, who we found out the reminds with the name Hideo, and some reactions by the Toll Honk's experiments took on him. 3. Moreover, in the final scene of the film, why is Mrs. Kusanagi so accepting of being told she's lucky to come to her daughter's grave after a Major tells her the truth? Beyond all this, however, is a problem that is not solely related to casting controversy. The fact that someone believed that people would actually be willing to see an adaptation of such influential work, not only being controversial casting, for sake of potential box office, recently rendered useless by the film being a box office disaster, which Paramount eventually admitted to, but also stripped of everything that made its senior so beloved, is astonishing. And given how the original key influence of some films is the Matrix trilogy, AI, and 2004's I, Robot, among others, it's a shame the story couldn't have been done justice. Given how long the remake was in development, how all this happened, maybe I should have just left well enough alone. Given how instead of a planned franchise, a new anime film for the mega standalone complex TV series being made, I can agree with Agony Booth what they said about the matter once. Possibly the most damning evidence against movies that are going right to rebooting their franchise. Committed movie suicide in only one installment. As the credits roll, I should definitely wrap this up with some final thoughts. Obviously, as a fan of source material, I didn't really enjoy the creative liberties that were taking the story, since the Mira Killian conundrum was honestly at least this movie's problems for me. The story made no sense, the characters were minimal at best. I think saying most performances were phoned in would actually be disservice that phrase. It's more like they were tweeted in. The same can also be said with how I feel about the movie's own merit. It's one of those films where it's only slightly as dull as looking at a blank screen for the same 1 hour and 47 minutes, or at least the blank screen gives you more time to imagine alternate units for this film. Still, it's not the worst I've ever seen. I've seen and covered much worse on and off this channel. It's not totally without merit. The visuals, hulls, and special effects are impressive, with ways to have a good balance to practical effects, given the work on films Avatar, Rise of Planet of the Villain trilogy. Takeshi B. Kitano as Aramaki is my favorite character in this film, since the man's heavy just seems career in his lifetime. Also, the music was quite good. It may not be the same haunted mix synthesized and Japanese trial music that Kenji Kawai brought to the original, but Warren Belf and Clint Mansell did manage to at least try to adapt his style as well as catch what people might listen to in the future of Hong Kong. Overall, though, it's a film for me at least, doesn't have the same appeal to me as the original does. Basically, I have a similar opinion of it that I do with the recent remakes of RoboCop and Total Recall. The finer points of the original are already a classic or a sacrifice or overblown PG-13 action. Essentially became the very thing the original broke the boundaries of. Final rating is 1.5 stars out of 4. This year marks the 25th anniversary of the original film, the 31st anniversary of the publication of the manga. Both of those works, while standalone complex, stand alongside works as original Blade Runner, the first two Terminator films, how machines can be as human as we are. I can easily come back to them again and again to find things that intrigue me. This film, however, is among the most disappointing films of 2017 in my book. That's all for now. Later.